Welcome to Sports Geek Q&A. Here's your host, Sean Callanan.
Yes, I'm Sean Callanan from Sports Geek, and this is Sports Geek Q&A. Remember, you can send in your question these ways. You can go to sportsgeekhq.com/questions, and you can submit your question there, or you can send me a message via Twitter at Sean Callanan or at Sports Geek. Or you can hit me up on my Facebook. Sean Callanan Speaks is where you'll find me on Facebook. Or you can send me an email, sean@sportsgeekhq.com. You can try any of these methods, or you can send me a message or give me a call or ask me in real life. Don't forget, you can support our podcasting and newsletter efforts via Patreon. You can go to sportsgeekhq.com/Patreon. So this question, and this is an option. You can have this option. This is a name withheld question. So this comes from Anonymous. Why do sports teams suck at implementing innovation? Okay, now I know why, and now you can see why this might be anonymous. But it is a good question, and I tend to agree. Innovation, and I don't think it's just sport. I think we can lump a government into this question. You can also lump big corporate into this question. Innovation definitely has become a buzzword and a word that attracts attention. And guess what? It attracts money, which is what is drawing government, sports teams, and big corporate to the words innovation. To answer your question, why sports teams suck at it? Because it's not their core. Their core is getting teams on the park, connecting and servicing fans, and getting wins on the field. So you've got half the business that's all about operations, whether it's how do we hit a baseball the furthest, how do we improve our shooting percentage, how do we decrease hamstring in our footballers. So you've got that operations side of it that are doing some high performance innovation. So there's some happening there. And then you've got the sports business side, which is really in the process of getting a game out there on a week to week basis, servicing a highly emotive fan base with a really small team. Like where innovation happens and where innovation is probably in its best space is where it's been given time to breathe. And time to percolate and work on ideas. So things like when you hear 20% of people who work at Google's time is dedicated to innovation and special projects and testing stuff, you've got the bandwidth and the time and the headspace to do it, and it's a core value of what they're trying to do. And out of that, Google has spun off a whole bunch of different products, some that worked and some that didn't work, but it's embedded in their core. So I think it's something that the tech industry and startups are doing automatically. Like they know they have to keep changing and pivoting and being agile. They're not things that governments, big corporates and sports do naturally. They're very much embedded in, here's our system, this is what we do, this has worked, or this hasn't worked and we're still going to continue doing it. So currently the model is, if you want to be part of sports, if you want to be part of innovation, it's tacking yourself along with a accelerator potentially, and sort of there's a bit of box ticking happening, and that happens a little bit. Again, government, big corporates, as much as it does in sport. But really, the main point is it's not part of their core. Their core is definitely focused on results on the field, the court, the pitch, the rift, whatever sport or esport you play, and then also serving and serving the needs of their fans. Now, this is not to say, and again, name withheld. I'm trying to now protect what I'm saying here, but this is not to say there aren't teams that are being innovative. But as an overall, that's not what they want to do. They want to be seen as innovative, and they want to do things that are seen that way. But by and large, it's not part of their goal. It's not part of their DNA in the way that sports tech startups and any tech startup and the tech industry overall is sort of driven in that way. Success comes from innovating. So hopefully that answered it. Hopefully you're nodding your head. and hopefully haven't got everyone who is in the sports innovation space and the technology and the industry overall upset. I'm happy to have a discussion about it because I think that's where actual innovation comes from. A discussion of getting different parties together around ideas and getting smart people involved in a conversation around what you can do, and then what does that project look like, and how do you fund that project. Again, those things aren't natural to sport. It's not to say they couldn't do them, but they're not natural to sport. Question number 2. How do small sports get sponsors, asks Rishi Singh. His question is, hi, Sean. There doesn't seem to be any small or niche sports that can do sponsorship. There's lots of information on getting sponsorship, but all involved get detailed advice with the expectation that sports organisations will have the time, money, resources to devote to obtaining sponsorship. The problem is, though, sponsorship needs to be done in such a way so do the sports. What's the highest leverage advice do you have for smaller organisations who could really use the funds and sponsorship? Thank you, Rishi Singh. So, Rishi, really good question. Completely agree with your sentiment. Small sports, grassroots sports, is something that we're currently we have been doing recently with Football West, and sort of now got greater information on what sports teams and grassroots sports are going through. And for mine, it is, I guess, start with the small stuff and steal with pride, right? So steal with pride is something that I've been saying for a couple of years now. So what are the best things that pro sports is doing that you can do and show that you can implement part of it for your partners? That's the hey, what should we do for them to offer them? That's that part of it. The second part is exactly what pro sports need to do more of. If you're talking to a sponsor, ask them exactly what they want. In the grassroots sense, a lot of sponsors might be supporting you because they love the club and they are members of the club and they want to show support. That's fine. That sort of puts that sports sponsorship in almost charity. But what you can do is actually just say, what do you want? Are you a bakery, a local delicatessen? Are you a grocery store? Are you a petrol store? Are you a car dealership? Dive in a little bit on their business. Do they need to sell barbecues? Do they need to get people to their events? What do they need? Figure out if there is any way at all, you can show them how you can do some of that. Because most likely, if they are a baker or someone that's running a delicatessen or a car dealership, they're not doing a lot in the marketing space and acquiring of new customers, and they don't have a big budget to do that. So they are coming to you as a grassroots club to show their support for the community and potentially get some customers. So they're your only two goals. You want to make sure the community knows that sponsor is involved and they are supporting your club. So then they can tick off the warm fuzzies. But if on top of that, you help them acquire customers and actually drive them business, then you don't have a problem. Strip everything else away. That's all you should be focused on. If digital helps with that, great. If relationships help with that, even better. So it is just about helping the sponsors get what they want. So that's where the opportunity lies. So whether it's, hey, we've got a season launch, we know our sponsors will be all looking at that season launch. How do we integrate our sponsors in what the season launch is across the event, across digital, across what we're doing in the media space? How do we make sure they get their name and brand out there and show that they're a supporter of you? So you really do need to marry it up, that it is part and parcel of sport. But if you just focused on that delivery of what they need, rather than, hey, we've got to build out a really cool looking sponsorship deck and we've got to write a report to tell them how many times their logo appeared on a Facebook post, they don't really care about that. They care about selling more loaves of bread, more sausages from the butcher, and more cars. Really, if you can focus on that, that is the main thing. And be blunt. In the Know Your Pitch segment of Digital to Dollars, I asked the Spice Girl question. What do you want? What do you really, really want? Ask that question to your sponsor. Once you know that, then go, cool, this is what we're going to try to do to answer that question. Thanks, Rishi, for the question. Really good one. Question 3. I got asked this via Twitter when I announced I'm coming back. Why are you doing stand-up comedy? Thanks, Laura, who sent that in via Twitter. So if you don't know, April 1st, yes, it is April Fool's Day. I'm making my return to stage in the Melbourne International Comedy Festival. SeanCallanan.com/comedy if you want to come along and laugh at me. I mean, laugh with me. Why am I doing it? I do it to push myself in uncomfortable situations. I enjoy doing it. It's not easy to do stand-up. And one of the things that when I did it a couple of years ago, when I did the School of Hard Knock Knocks stand-up comedy course, one thing I did think one benefit was I think it made me a better speaker. I've previously done an improv course, so in improvisation where you learn to think on your feet, and a lot of my questions and a lot of my answers, a lot of my questions in my interviews, a lot of my work that I've done in moderating panels and even keynotes have leaned on that skill a lot. I can think on my feet and I can come up with questions on the fly, sometimes even during the question, if you haven't noticed, and to a certain degree sort of use that as a bit of a crutch. Whereas in stand-up comedy, it's really hard to freelance it. It's really hard to stand up there and go, cool, I'm going to talk for 10 minutes and make you laugh every 30 seconds. So stand-up comedy is a real different beast, and it's a tougher beast to master. I don't think I have. I don't think I ever will. But it's a skill, one, that works on preparing, writing, and refining what I'm delivering. And so that's actually got me practicing and refining my keynote speeches a lot more, and also refining a little bit more of the way I interview and prepare for interviews for podcasts. So I think it's made me a better speaker. And I think it actually has also helped me as a speaker because I now know, I guess, some of the mechanics and the behind the scenes of writing a joke and the setup of a joke and how to land a joke and the twists and turns of a joke. So some of the jokes that I have shared on keynotes and on stages and that kind of stuff to get a laugh, to improve the cadence of a speech, I've used some of those skills since then. So, and really, I really do it for fun. It's such a rush. I'm really looking forward to April 1st, Melbourne International Comedy Festival. I'd love to see some of you there. For my international listeners, I will do my best to see if there's video or at least audio recording. I may drop a audio or a special podcast just with that 10-minute set. It may need James to do a bit of work with bleeping because I might use a few swear words. I don't mind using swear words when I'm doing stand up. But that's why I do stand up. Life's too short to not challenge yourself and not have fun. So thank you very much, Laura, Rishi, and Anonymous for that first question. Again, you can send in questions anytime on my social channels or send me an email, Sean@sportsgeekhq.com. I'd love your support on Patreon. Simply go to sportsgeekhq.com/Patreon to pledge your monthly support. Until next episode, my name is Sean Callanan, and you've been listening to Sports Geek.
You can reach Sean Callanan via email at sean@sportsgeekhq.com. Find out more about Sports Geek's Digital to Dollars process at digitaltodollars.com.
Go to sportsgeekhq.com for more sports digital marketing resources.